And we're back with more news now. Former President Jacob Zuma recently appeared in the Pietermaritzburg High Court for a pre-trial hearing in the long-running arms deal corruption case nearly 25 years after the scandal first emerged. Now, despite progress in May when Judge Thoba Poyo-Dlwati scheduled the trial for 6 weeks between April and September next year, further delays have since surfaced. And to shed more light on the ongoing obstacles, let's now welcome arms deal and corruption activist, Mr. Terry Crawford-Browne. Terry, always great having you with us. Thank you so much for your time. So what are some of your thoughts on these current and ongoing delays? I mean, 25 years of litigation on the same matter certainly cannot be normal. What could be contributing to these unending legal hurdles, you think?
Thank you. It's a tragedy, really. As I say, justice delayed is justice denied. This has been going on far, far too long. We've had cover-ups and commissions of inquiry that were a disaster, and it comes back to bite them. And it's time now, given that we have a government of national unity, and if the issue comes up again, that we must deal with it and deal with it quickly. As I say, justice delayed is justice denied. And it makes a mockery of our Constitution, Section 2 of which says the Constitution is the supreme law of the country and you've got to obey it and get on with it.
And that brings me to my next point, Terry. Then how do you think the National Prosecuting Authority has actually handled the case so far? And are there any concerns about their approach? I mean, this week's actual postponement was actually due to the presiding judge having to provide reasons for previously dismissing Zuma's recusal matter in regards to Billy Downer.
I'm afraid it doesn't make any sense. I mean, and the NPA has had a very checkered history in the past. And we had hoped it would improve a few years ago, but it doesn't seem to have. Still delaying things, and this, I think, is the critical issue to deal with the corruption that the arms deal has unleashed on the country. And if we're not dealing with the arms deal corruption, we won't deal with the other corruption scandals that followed, including the Guptas.
And what role do you think politics also, Terry, has played in these current delays? And are there any other external factors that you have actually observed influencing this trial?
Oh, absolutely. In 1998, I learned that BA was laundering bribes via 2 Swedish trade unions to the ANC ahead of the 1999 election. Through contact in London, I asked the British government to investigate. Scotland Yard was appointed to do so, and it came back it was not illegal in English law to bribe foreigners at that stage, and therefore there was no crime for Scotland Yard to investigate. So there was that cover-up. That then, however, led to the Serious Fraud Office in Britain opening the investigation of BAE bribes to Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and 6 other countries, and Prime Minister Tony Blair in 2006 then squelched the whole thing, saying it violated British national security. So it's not just our government that is covering it up. There are governments in Europe as well, the British, the Germans, the Swedes, because I'm sad to say, it has been estimated that world corruption or the arms trade is responsible for about 40% of world corruption that can be traced back to the arms trade. So it's a hugely corrupt business, but it controls the politicians in Europe and also in the United States.
Now, Terry, you've been at the forefront advocating for accountability in this case for many years now. Just how frustrating is it to see these ongoing delays?
Hugely frustrating. I mean, we had huge expectations in the early days of our transition from apartheid that we were a constitutional democracy and things would move and we would address the crises that the country faced, including, for instance, poverty. Unfortunately, 25 years later, many things have not been tackled that should have been tackled 25 years ago. It's very, very frustrating, not just from the arms deal perspective, but the general lack of dealing with the legacies that we inherited from apartheid.
And in closing, Terry, are there any other potential consequences or implications for South Africa's justice system? I know you mentioned it when we started this interview, if this trial actually continues to be delayed further or doesn't actually reach any conclusion anytime soon. We have seen with various other high-profile matters actually being struck off the roll due to similar delays on the parties concerned or on the side of the NPA.
Well, there's so many. I'm told that the courts are so backlogged that everything is delayed. So this is compounding the overcrowded courts, and the NPA is going to have to resolve that issue and stop stalling. The courts are all overworked because everything is delayed and passed on to a future case. It makes a mockery of our legal system.
Terry, thank you so much for your contribution this evening. That was arms deal and corruption activist, Mr. Terry Crawford-Browne.